And welcome everyone. My name is Ergo, and I'm joined here by King Rayrand himself. Welcome, King
Hi,
Rayrand.
what's up?
What's up, man? So we are here to show you guys the recap from the Circuit 8 Showdown qualifier, the standard version. So just call this the recap show. Okay, so first up we have two interesting decks. Well, one is particularly popular in the meta by the name of Gruul, believe in the Cleaver. And then the opponent here is an non-meta deck, a Selesnya tokens. What do you think of this matchup, King Rayrand?
Well, we all know that the Gruul deck, since it's one of the most popular decks out there right now, tends to snowball. When he gets the ball rolling from, if he has a turn 1, 2, and 3, it would be tough for any deck actually in any format to compete with a Gruul deck. But as the game as the game progresses, the Celestia, any token deck would have enough time to build their board and eventually gain that advantage. So in summary, the Gruul deck has a time limit here. I think around turn 3 or turn 4, he has to build this board. He has to gain the has to gain the advantage in terms of creatures and or preventing spells from the token deck to build this board. But by turn 5, 6 onwards, that's a sweet spot, and the token deck gains the upper advantage.
Alright, so from what you said, this will be a battle of turns. So you have to keep a close eye from turn 3, 4, and then 5. Okay, so let's head on to the match. Here we go. Game 1. This is a best of 3. Herbivore versus Bug for You. Who will prevail?
So who's on the play? I believe it's for you, right?
No, it's opponent goes first, so it's Bug for You.
Oh, that's not a good sign. Normally in turn 1, you would like, if I were the Gruul deck, I would like to put down a 1/1 human from the Lovestruck Beast or the Edgewall Innkeeper.
Yes, and unfortunately, he missed both of them, but he did get a Cobra on turn 2, so that could enable him to at least ramp to a 4-drop on next turn. But it's also answered by another Lotus
then you
Cobra.
have for yeah. Oh, he's missing land drops. Not a good sign.
Not a good sign. Cobra, no value here because you need to play a land to be able to produce mana. Here, he's kind of like a vanilla 2-1.
Here, it's turn 3. Okay, that was the point that I don't agree with. He sacrificed his board for an attack with a Cobra, and then now he sacrificed his Cobra for your Cobra. He's not. There's nothing favorable. There's nothing going on with his board right now, and you have 4 lands. So I believe this is turn 3. He has one more turn to establish a board presence against the token deck. So let's see.
Let's see. Well said, well said. I do agree with what you mentioned. He needs the Cobra to at least enable to mount a comeback in terms of the creatures or the board presence here, so he can cast more than 1 spell per turn. Unfortunately, without the Cobra, that does not even give him a chance.
So an Edgewall Innkeeper and Scavenging Ooze at turn 4? This is not what you want to see against a token deck.
3 skewed swarms already for the token deck, and there's another one, and we can see a ton of triggers here. More skewed swarms on the way.
Aye. So this is what we were talking about pre-game. We have a window. We have a time limit from turn up till turn 4. You have to establish your dominance by turn 4, and now it's turn 5 onwards, and the token deck is going nuts with this board.
I think we have 20 or 32 tokens, 32 skewed swarms from that game. All right, so game 2, sideboarding time.
So let's see the sideboard for both decks. So let's focus on Bug for You. So for his sideboard, he has 2 Vivian, Monsters Advocate, Ranger's Guile, Great Hench, Chainweb Arachnir, Soul Guide Lantern, Return to Nature, and Ox of Agonas. So what do you want here? If you were the RG Cleave deck, what do you want here? What do you want to bring in from this sideboard?
Well, considering you're on the play, and knowing my opponent, we know the tokens deck does have some enchantments. I would also put in Return to Nature that does take care of Felidor's Retreat, and I think he also saw the Stone Cold Serpent, if I'm not mistaken, in that game. Although I might put in the Great Hench. I'm not sure. What about you? I think the Hench, since he's on the play, a turn 3 Lovestruck Beast into a turn 4 Hench, and then just card draw advantage. I think that just would prove too much to handle, even for the tokens deck, if it goes into the mid to late game.
Okay, I would approach this a little differently, actually. I'm seeing, since you would like to build your board as early as possible, right? So I'm looking at Vivian, a Monsters Advocate here, a token generator by herself. So sustaining every turn, you have a 3/3. You churn out a creature. That's always a threat. I would also consider actually the Great Henge. As you said, turn 4 Henge, then creature for infinite for card advantage there. But Return to Nature, that's pushing it for me. Maybe on the draw. Maybe if I were on the draw, I would consider the Return to Nature. For the sideboarding from his main deck, on the play, I would actually consider the Primal Might. But that's me. Because the Shatterskull Smashing, I assume that's also a land.
Yeah, that's so, and part of his land count, so I don't think he can afford to get rid of that.
Yep. Yeah, but because if we're talking about the Stone Coil Serpent, you already have the Gem Razors there. So on the play, I would rely on the Gem Razors. Actually, I would rely on the top decks, and for me to get a Gem Razor off the deck to deal with those Stone Coil Serpents. So for me, Primal Mights are out.
Primal Might out, so in goes the Vivian and the Great Hench for Bug for You.
Yep.
Okay, and how about for Herbivore? Herbivore here.
So I think you would. You might want to start the discussion here on what were you thinking for the side when you sideboarded here.
Yeah, so being on the draw, we know it's usually better to be more control-ish. So we put in more control cards here. We put in, of course, Shatter the Sky, a Mass Removal. We also put in an 2 Okum Adversary. Definitely because our opponent is playing green and he does have turn 1 plays with Edgewall Innkeeper. So could get an early advantage here with Okim Adversary. Especially since his removals, usually early removals are I think the Bone Crusher, the Stomp, that's only 2 damage.
Yeah.
So that's not enough for the Okum Adversary. So ideally, Okum Adversary, if it goes in on turn 2, you can draw a couple of cards before it dies. Then I also believe I also put in Questing Beast. Since it does have fatty creatures and Questing Beast at the least can trade with one of his fatties. Ugin, the last card of my sideboard. Actually, I was considering putting that in or not. I think at the end I decided to put it in because why not? He's Ugin. And it's the token deck ramps up very quickly, so we can potentially see Ugin on even on turn 5, turn 6 if it all goes well for the tokens deck.
Ugin actually is also can also be considered as a sweeper, a board sweeper, because of his second ability, the minus ability, in which he exiles all colored permanents with casting cost X or less, where X is the loyalty counters that he's minusing. So yeah. So there you are. Okay, so here we go.
Here we go. And opening hand here. Actually, this looks good for the tokens deck. It does have double Lotus Cobra, a Cultivate, a lot of Ram cards here. Then end game, you can just churn out tokens and pump them up with Fillet or Retreat. He also has
But the problem here is
to deal with. Yeah, it don't have we don't have a second land here. So let's see what I did. I don't think I risk it. Yeah, I moved.
Yeah,
I moved.
you had to more.
But I mostly got similar cards except for the Cobras. So it worked out.
Yeah. But the second land was really what you needed there.
Yeah, and just as I was talking about earlier, the Okum Adversary answering the Edgewall Innkeeper on turn 2. So that is such a strong play against this deck. He has no way to deal with this early on.
Bug for you can't really can catch a break there. I mean, he's always starting the game with the tap green source. Then okay, so that there he had to trade, I believe, the Edgekeeper with the Okum.
Actually,
being on the play, I think you have to begin building your board, and that's not what we want to see. That's not what we want to see.
Yes,
so I think this is turn 5 for him.
Yeah, it's turn 5 already. Actually, he even had to play 2 cards. He blocked with the Edgewall Innkeeper and then used the Stomp from Bone Crusher Giant. So we actually set him back and we already drew a card there with the attack damage trigger from before. So got already a top value. Quota met already. And now we see here one of the cool combos here from the tokens deck. Mutating the Sweet Swarm with the Angurius or the Gem Razor. And the new copy is also a Gem Razor / Sweet Swarm combination. So right now, already turn 5, turn 6. Not really looking good for the Gruul deck. It hasn't really been able to establish a board here.
And someone shared your stream.
Yay! Thank you, Ergo. Thank you for sharing.
And this is actually not what we wanted to see. It's a 1-for-1 with the Primal Might. I would have made that if that were a Vivian. I mean, that would have been 3/3 token. You would have a first you would have to deal with Vivian, Then second, she's just gonna churn out tokens after tokens. So that's what I was saying a while ago. I don't agree with the Primal Might there because you're tapping out for the Primal Might, whereas you have to be on the aggressive side here.
Yeah,
And
unfortunately, we don't know, or we didn't know Bug for You's hand at that time, so we couldn't really say. But yeah, I do agree with what you said. It still got, or we were still getting value from the Scute Swarm / Gem Razor combo. Even though we killed the other one, we still kept getting more tokens with the future landfalls there. So not really a good trade. It was actually a 2-for-1. He had to use Primal Might and sacrifice his Bone Crusher Giant just to kill one creature.
yeah, so that's what I was trying to point at you for the game. If you're on the play, there's a different science of sideboarding. If you're on the play or on the draw. On the play, you would be more aggressive. You would tend to go to the aggressive side rather than be on the controller side. So what does it mean? Less removal, more threats for me, because you're ahead by one turn. You would like to develop your board faster by one turn than your opponent. Then when you're on the draw, that means you're lagging one turn. Therefore, you would like to be on the controller side, meaning you have to as much as possible limit the number of cards or the board state of your opponent. Then you would get the advantage at some point there. Then you have to attack. So I think that's where we're having trouble sometimes. That's where most players are having trouble actually. Sometimes they sideboard due to the match. In most cases, you don't have any choice actually. But in some cases, such as last match, like I said, I would have boarded more aggressive cards such as the Great Henge and the Vivian instead of and just leave out the Primal Might. So any thoughts on that, Erg?
Well, to sum up what you said, so the player on the play has to keep applying pressure, so as much pressure as possible early on, while the player on the draw, it's his job to stabilize, survive until he gets out his threats and builds up a decent board state as well. So yeah, I do agree with what you said. We were talking about the sideboard plan earlier. Actually, I did not see the Gem Razors initially in the main deck, so that's why I opted to go for Return to Nature, since Felidar Retreat is such a key card in the tokens deck. That's something, and he does know that the tokens deck also has Glass Caskets, Stone Serpent, so a lot of targets for that Return to Nature.
So yeah, but to sum up the match, so sorry for the Tagalog, minales lang talaga si Bug for You. His draws were just not aligned with what he should have done. He should have prioritized having a 1-drop, either the 1/1 human from the Lovestruck Beast or the Edge Wall in Cleaver at turn 1. Then maybe a tap na on turn 2, we can't do anything about that. But turn 3, he has to have either a 4/3 Bone Crusher Giant or the 5/5 Lovestruck Beast. If, for example, you get to kill the 1/1 creature, that's fine. A 5/5 still standing there is still a good blocker against some of your early threats. So that would also provide him more time to find an answer for your threat.
Well said, well said. As for the tokens deck, I think key there for the tokens deck, of course, resolving that sideboard card that costs 2 less to cast on turn 2 because of the actual Innkeeper, and getting a card advantage, and also getting a 2 for 1 in that trade-off with the Innkeeper and Stomp. Also, Skewed Swarm surviving the 6 land drop. That was crucial. It survived and just took over the game from there. The tokens deck even mutated with the Gem Razor to destroy the Stone Cold Serpent, and then from there on, you just kept making more Gem/Truth Razor tokens every turn, and just got out of hand from there.
Well, the Skewed Swarm is strong by itself, actually. As strong in the early game because you get to create comp blockers. Stronger in the late game because you get to churn out copies of the Skewed Swarm itself. So as I said, they have a timeline. They have a countdown actually. It's a ticking time bomb. Your deck is a ticking time bomb. You have to build a board presence better than the token deck before his 6th land. If you get board state better than the tokens deck before the 6th land of the token deck, I think you're primed to win that game. But if you let a Skewed Swarm make copies of himself, well, my friend, medyo tagilid ka na dun, pare.
Yeah, the Skewed Swarm just got too cute there and just took over the game, and that was it. Alright, so moving on now, we have the finals here. It's between Ergovor with the tokens deck and Ahoynan, who is using UB Rogues or Dimir Rogues. What do you think of this matchup, King Rayrand?
Well, we reviewed the deck list a while ago, right? It's more of the control-ish version of the UB Rogues, so we can expect here. I think his main win con here would be to mill out his opponents. Plan B here would be the damage. I think he has only 3 kinds of creatures: the thief, what do you call that? The one mana black.
The Thief's Guild Enforcer.
Yeah, the Thief's Guild. Yeah, the Enforcer, the 2-drop flash 1/3 creature that has a pump if your opponent has 8 or more cards in the graveyard, and the gargoyle. So lots of cheap creatures here, but they are all dependent on the graveyard of your opponent. So I think this is the Manfield deck, right? Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yes, this is the Manfield deck. The more control-ish UB Rogues.
Yeah, so so here you have 2 conflicting decks here, because on one hand your deck is more aggressive, but on the other hand he doesn't need to reduce your life total to 0 here. He has the option to just mill you out. So what do you think about your matchup here?
Yes, for this matchup, I would give the edge actually to Dimir Rogues, because Dimir Rogues, they have a lot of evasion, a lot of flying creatures, and of course tokens, not exactly the most aggressive of decks. Usually, as you mentioned before, it builds up its board's presence from turn 3 onwards, and the sweet spot there is usually from turn 5 onwards. I don't know, by that time, most likely the UB Rogues will have milled a ton of your library out, or maybe they have counter spells already in hand, ready to fire away. Or they could just win via bashing with their flyers. Yeah, but that's just me.
So here's the
Yeah.
So here's the thing, Ergs, no? The UB Rogues deck, you have to consider also what if they mill out your win con, right? So you're left with the cards in your hand and maybe top deck of lands or some favorable top decks. If they mill out a lot of your threats, you're in trouble. But if you get to stabilize and by turn 6 onwards, you build a board wide enough to attack through, you're in the lead. Yeah, and right now, I believe that your key card here would be the Federal Retreat. Why? Historically, we know that Black has a problem with enchantments. They can't deal with enchantments already on board. So they have a chance since he's also playing blue. So that's why when we reviewed the deck list a while ago, I was looking for the Brazen Borrower because he can bounce the Fedidar Retreat. But his deck doesn't have one. So the only way that I can see for him to deal with the Fedidar Retreat is either one, he has to discard it. I think the Agonizing Remorse card, the 2-drop from the black, will help you there. Or number 2, you can counter it. So that's the one card actually that he will have a hard time dealing with. Others, well, he has removal, so whatever, right? So yeah, what are your thoughts?
Well, as I mentioned before, I still go for the UB Rogues. Although the Fedidar Retreat, well, if it resolves, that's a big if though. If it resolves, then it could potentially take over the game, seeing as UB Rogues, they don't really have an answer. They can't remove enchantments on the battlefield.
So let's review the match first, and let's go to the sideboarding game.
Let's go. And game 1, Ahoinan versus Herbivore.
So we're looking at your hand. Do you keep this hand? I can't remember if you mulled.
Yeah.
I
kept this hand. Seeing as we are on the play, we can try to pop off with an early Kazandu Mammoth. We do have an answer or a semi-removal with Skyclave Apparition if we do get our second planes.
Yeah, that's a big if.
Yeah, that's a big if. But look at what you have here. We got our Fedidar Retreat, which we mentioned was key in this matchup. The Fedidar Retreat enchantment.
Yeah.
There we go. See? It resolved.
And you have a Vivian. Was this countered? I think this is countered.
Yes, it was drowned and blocked. But still had the Fedidar Retreat, so all of my future land drops will just continue to generate more value. And look what we drew here. Fabled Passage. And we also have a Skewed Swarm in hand. Look what will happen. The tokens.
Yeah, but I don't think you're... okay, you're playing. Because I think what you were waiting for here was a counter. You're expecting this to be countered, right?
Yeah, I was expecting to be countered, but that's fine because we still got value from the retreat.
Okay, so drawing a lot of cards.
Draw a lot of cards, but you didn't get an answer, so that's why you concede.
So this is what I was mentioning a while ago, right? the Predator retreat is so backbreaking against the UB rogues deck, because this generates value by just lands, right? So it can even be countered. It's just lands, and creature are pumped, and that's gonna be so hard for the UB rogues to deal with in the long run. So I think he just conceded because he didn't get anything from the into the story. So on game 2, let's review the deck list again. Okay, so you're seeing the deck list here. So what are you seeing here? What do you want?
Well, Agonizing Remorse. That is a way to deal with Fedor Retreat. Lull Mage Domination. As you can see, Huinan here has 4 copies of the Lull Mage Domination. So it can
So I think you would like to refresh our audience. What does the Lull Mage Domination do?
Yeah, so it's a sorcery. It costs 3 blue mana and X. This spell costs 3 less to cast if it targets a creature whose controller has 8 or more cards in their graveyard. Then gain control of target creature with converted mana cost X. So this card, seeing as the deck has a lot of ways to mill the opponent's library, a lot of the time it will cost 3 less. And against a tokens deck, also with cards like Stone Cold Serpent, you can still just cast it for 3 blue mana and X can be 0 since the casting cost is 0. So you steal opponent's creature, get rid of that, and it becomes your own.
Yeah, an important thing also to consider here from your deck is that it's called the tokens deck. But what are your token generators here? You have number 1 the Skewed Swarm, number 2 the Felidar Retreat, and number 3 you have a Vivian that generates tokens, right?
Yes.
So out of the 3, the only thing that he can't deal with actually is the Felidar Retreat. He can deal with the Skewed Swarm, right? I mean, when you play the Skewed Swarm, just kill it instantly.
Yep.
Maybe 1 token. The token. We can't ask much actually. With the Skewed Swarm. It's just that good. Okay, so for against Vivian, actually you can just attack it, and well, eventually you'll be able to kill the Vivian. So out of the 3, main threat here is the Felidar Retreat, right? So why put in the Lull Mage's Domination here? Because out of the 3 token generators, the Skewed Swarm, you can Lull Mage Domination there outright, right? What are your other threats out of your well, you call your deck a token deck, but what are your other threats? I mean, there are only 3 types of cards that generate tokens, right? You have the Kazandu Mammoth, the Stone Coil Serpent, I think a Gem Razor, a Questing Beast, and so on and so forth, right? So basically, what I'm trying to say, what I'm trying to come up here is that there's your plan B is to overrun him with value creatures, and the Lull Mage Domination can deal with those creatures, as well as the Bloodthirst and Eliminate. That's why it's also important to put in removal against your deck, the token deck, right? So what do you think?
Yeah, especially in the sideboard, knowing that we will do put in creatures that can deal with his flyers, so he would want to get rid of our vigilant or reach creatures or flying creatures, whatever, if they do come out. Lull Mage Domination does give him more ways or more weapons to deal with those.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So yeah. So aside from those, well, the Thieves Guild Enforcer actually is also a removal, pseudo removal because of the death touch that it gains, and you can always recast him with with Luros on board.
Yes.
So being on the play, I would actually what, how do you say this? I would actually stick with my game plan of being the control this matchup here, and maybe side out the gargoyles for the lull mage dominations and more removals or a combination of such. So yeah, that's what I would do. So how about you?
Yeah, it's quite funny. We mentioned a while ago, being on the play, you want to be more aggressive. But here, we know this UB rogues is much better when it's on the controlling aspect of the match. So I do agree, putting in more controlish cards here with the lull mage domination. I would also put in more discarders like the agonizing remorse.
But on the play, I would concentrate on mill. Number one is mill, and number two is getting as you said, if I'm gonna play Lull Mage's Domination, I'm gonna concentrate on milling, and number two is I'm gonna get all your threats and play those cards against you.
Well, as for me, I think once you put in the Lull Mage Domination, it increases your control cards. So I think you can cut off some of the 1-for-1 removals. Maybe double Heartless Axe. Maybe Heartless Axe. What else? Blood Chief. Even a Blood Chief. Blood Chief Thirst is better against tokens. But Heartless Axe. I would probably remove some of the Heartless Axe as well.
Yeah, and the Mystical Disputes, I just realized that he had two mains. So,
yeah, he can actually just put in the negates instead of the Mystical, since, of course, Mystical is much better if it's against blue. So, negate, better replacement in this matchup.
Okay, so that's for the that's for a Winon's deck. So let's I think we can go through how you sideboarded against this matchup. So yeah.
Yep, let's
review.
Play the video. Here we go. Okay, so
how did you sideboard?
Here we go. Sideboarding. Seeing as he has Luros, I put in Scavenging Ooze to stop his recurring threats. I also put in that 3-to-cast Beast. Right now, the name escapes me because it's being hidden by my MTG card, the Lowly Human card border. But that it's a 3-to-cast Beast. One card has 2.
That's the Garruk's Harbinger.
Something. Oh yeah, Harbinger. Garruk's Harbinger. So this is a 4-3 hexproof from black. Most of its removals, or I think all of its removals, are black. So it will most likely will be able to survive once it resolves. Then I also put in Chainweb Arachnir because it's a 1-to-cast, 1-2 reach. When it enters the battlefield, it deals damage to target creature with flying equal to its power. But the important thing here is the escape. So escape 3 colorless, 2 forests, exile 4 other cards from your graveyard. It goes in with 3 +1/+1 counters. So seeing as our opponent is a mill deck, there is a high chance that Chainweb Arachnir will just be built into the graveyard. It's basically a free card. You can just use escape, kill one of his flyers, and add additional threat on the board on your side.
Yeah, I agree with the Chainweb Arachnir. Actually, that's actually how you play against control against the mill deck. Since Theros is has a lot of cards that deal with the escape mechanic. That's how you play against the mill deck. If you want to mill, you mill me, but you give me gas. You give me gas to play against you. That's where the chain with the Arachnir comes in. Whether it's milled or it's played, it's still on the board, so it will disrupt your gameplay.
Alright, so another card I sideboarded here is Hushbringer, since a lot of the rogues have the ETB mill effects. Hushbringer will just negate all of those. No ETB, sir. If it sticks on the board, then the mill plan most likely won't work.
Okay. So what cards did you side up?
Let's check. Pretty sure I sideboarded out Yasharn. His creatures are not really that big. There's a Vantress Gargoyle, but I expected him to sideboard that out. So didn't really need the Giant Killer that time. What else? I might have put in the Heroic Intervention, because it gives Hexproof and Unstoppable. My permanent.
Yeah, and then you also played the Gem Razors anyway, so that's a good answer to the Gargoyles, just in case.
Yeah, they do have reach. And what am I doing? Am I putting in Ugin? Did I go crazy again and put in Ugin?
I don't think that you put in Ugin right now.
Yeah, I don't think I did. So we remove one Skewed Swarm. Yeah, actually we cut one Feather Retreat. We wanted more ways to deal with this board in the early game. Feather Retreat usually turn 4, and that time most likely he will be saving up his mana to counter that. So we wanted other weapons that he had to deal with. Alright, here we go. Game 2. Here we're talking about the Null Mage Domination. I just saw the 4 Null Mage Domination cards in the sideboard. But wow, we got a pretty good turn 1, turn 2 play here. Chain Web into Hushbringer. 2 sideboard cards
wait.
out already.
Can we rewind a little? Sorry.
For sure. So this is start.
No. When he Agonizing Remorse to your hand.
Yeah, there. He remove Cultivate, I believe.
The hero.
Yeah, he remove Cultivate. Actually, I was expecting to remove the Hushbringer, but I thought he might have a removal, which is why he removed Cultivate, but he did not have it, surprisingly.
Yeah, I mean, the ETBs from the UB roads, those are what you want to avoid. But oh wow, okay. He didn't want you to ramp. He didn't want you to filter your life.
I didn't want us to ramp, but little did he know, didn't have anything in hand. I just had lands.
No. I would have gotten the Hushbringer now.
Yes, that would have been my choice. If I did not have a removal in hand, I would have gone for the Hushbringer. Maybe was thinking that he had a high chance of getting an answer for the Hushbringer. And he was maybe afraid of a turn 3 Feather Retreat. Most likely didn't have a counter spell there, seeing as it just played a massive key role in the first game.
Oh, so here's the Feather Retreat again. And he's looking for an answer. That's why he bought the card.
Yeah, as you can see here, 2 Thieves Guild Enforcer, no mills. Soaring Tall Thief was able to mill from the attack trigger, but that's not nearly enough to mill me out. It doesn't even have the bonus here from the Thieves Guild. It's only 1/1.
Yeah. Yeah, that's throwing cards, trying to find an answer. I think he stabilizes at one point here, right?
Yes. He does, or he's able to produce a decent board state where I think eventually we're not able to attack. We have to wait until we find more threats. Yeah, there we go. There's a Lull Mage Domination into the Hushbringer.
But that doesn't answer the Hushbringer.
Yes, does answer one more threat from our board, a flying blocker, but the ETB, anti-ETB ability of the Hushbringer still stays in effect. It does target both players, not just the opponent.
Yeah.
Okay, so we got another reach blocker here with the Stone Cold Serpent. We have Chainweb Arachnir, so this becomes a bit of a grind. Both players trying to get that top deck to gain an advantage. Although here, Ahuinan actually has the advantage with 4 cards in hand. But he has at 5 lives, so he couldn't afford to attack.
Yeah. I wouldn't attack also.
Yeah, so we got a Vivian. After expecting this to be countered.
Yeah, like what I said, your deck has 3, you're calling your deck a tokens deck, but what are your token generators there? The Skid Swarm, the Vivian, and the Federal Retreat. So you have, I think, yeah, there. You have all 3.
We got the Trinity here. The token generators for the Retreat, Skid Swarm, Vivian. And we actually have one more. Not sure if you remember. It's the white spell land mythic card, the one that can make 2 4/4 angels and make your other non-angel creatures indestructible until your next turn.
Oh yeah. Sorry. I just I couldn't remember that.
Yeah, it's one card.
Yeah, actually, sorry. You also have another card. I think you have the Castle, Ardenvale.
Yeah, it's a castle, but it's not technically a token. It's a manland. The Castle Ardenvale makes tokens. I was thinking of the Calling Barons. The one becomes a creature. But we do have a token producer with the Castle Ardenvale.
And I think his game plan here was to mill you out.
Yeah, so let's pause the game. So look at this board state. We have a ton of tokens already from the Swarm. We have blockers for the air, but Hushbringer is gone finally. So now all of his ETB triggers are just going wild here. 3 Thieves Guild Enforcer, 2 Soaring Thought Thieves, and he has lures to just keep recurring them. Problem here is his life total is down to 7, but he does have a window of a chance to win via mill.
Yeah, but as we were discussing also, right? If your deck is so wide, as in wide enough to go around those blockers, then you're way ahead, right? So at this point, its only chances to mill you out. But I can't remember how many cards left in your library, but I don't think that those are enough for him to mill you out.
Yeah, I mean, with our board state being as big as it is, he needed to basically block with everything on the next attack. Wait, I think this is it. Let's watch this sequence. This will be the determinant of the match. So,
yes. Actually, your libraries was shown there. You had 17 cards left in your library, but the sad thing here is he had to block with the Lurus. He couldn't recur any of those cards anymore with the Lurus gun.
Yeah, that's a problem. My creatures were just too big and too many. And that was the game. Boom. That was the game. So yeah, what did you think about that match?
So another tournament, another win for the Ergovore. So well, the deck is janky. I mean, Saffron Olive would have been proud. But yeah, it's effective. But I think you have trouble. I think the main trouble there is you have to ramp up for those token generators to be effective. If early threats would arise, like let's say if you're dealing with the mono red with a good hand, I think you would be forced to make unfavorable blocks there, and maybe even end the game with an Ember Cleave to your face. So the deck is good. Don't get me wrong. The deck is good, and against the meta right now, the RG Cleave and the UV Rogue, good enough. It's a good counter against those decks. But I think there's a window there. The turn 1, 2, and 3. If a deck establishes a better board than you have in those turns, then then you're gonna have a tough time dealing with those decks, with those matchups.
Yeah, definitely. Since this is a setup deck, we need to wrap up to our key cards like the Felidor Retreat, even Vivian, also the Skewed Swarm, hoping to get your 6th land and make copies from there. So yeah, we do need some time to set up, which is why we do have early answers with the Glass Caskets. You could say Giant Killer is also a bit of an answer for those big creatures. From the sideboard, where we will depend heavily on the sideboard actually for those aggro decks. We do have some master removals. We have Shatter the Sky. We have early drop creatures as well. With a Gruul, we have that sideboard against green, the 2/3 guy, the one that draws you a card when it deals damage to the opponent. And we have the fatty, the 6/6 fatty that gives you a choice of gaining life, drawing, or making a token whenever it attacks your block.
Yeah. Yeah, the Elder Gargaroth.
Yeah, the Elder Gargaroth.
Yeah, so yeah, I think your deck's it's a solid deck. Saffron Olive, like I said a while ago, Saffron Olive would have been proud. Yeah, but for all decks, there are weaknesses on those decks. There's no deck that 100% that would win 100%, because if such a deck would exist,
It would be banned.
I think everyone or Magic.
Magic would ban it.
Yeah,
Wizards would ban it. It's basically it. Like what we saw with Omnath.
Ay, don't remind me of Omnath. I love that matchup with my historic deck. Anyway, I think standard is healthy right now with the banning of Uro, Omnath, the Once Upon a Time, the green instant, I think. So what can I say? Standard has been plagued with a lot of bans, but what matters is how the players actually adapt to those bans. So go Magic.
Yes, go more Magic, go Magic. Well said. So anyway, that finishes up our recap of for this tournament. Hope you guys enjoyed the show. We'll try to make this consistent, provide more in-depth analysis and insights with King Rayrand here.
Yeah.
Do you have anything to say for your legions of fans, King Rayrand? Oh yeah, do you have any announcements for your career in the future, in the very, very near future?
Well, it's still a plan, but I might start streaming also. Let's see if if I get to set up something, come up with something, I might start streaming also. I mean, I have a lot of time right now, and yeah, and I was fortunate enough actually to go to Mythic this season. I'm not sure if I will be able to maintain my rank to get the invite, but it's a start, and with limited card pool, I was able to do that. So yeah, it well, my MTG arena career is still young, barely a month old, so anything can happen.
Yes, definitely. Anything can happen. You might just reach the finals and fight against Luis Salvato. A revenge match. If you guys don't know, King Rayrand here fought against Luis Salvato before. I think it was quite a match. After that match, he became friends with Luis Salvato. Because as they said, keep your friends close, but your enemies closer. So, King Rayrand, you have a new rival here with Luis Salvato. I'm sure everyone is excited to see what comes up of this rivalry. Hopefully, we see a finals matchup in the MCQ.
Well, I was fortunate enough actually to be paired with him. I was actually in a losing streak when I was paired with him. I was playing ranked, and I think I was ranked 500 during that time. Because I was in a, I think, 3 game losing streak back then. I think I started playing when I was ranked 118, and yeah, I was facing a 3 game lose streak, so that pushed me back to, I think, 500 plus. Then I got paired with the number 13 ranked mythic player in MTG Arena, and it was like Luis Salvato. I was like, Luis Salvato, I know that guy. So then it hit me. Hey, he's one of the one of the most accomplished Magic players of our time. I think he won a Pro Tour one time. That's how he made a name for himself. So I was like, okay, so the lose streak continues. I think it's gonna be it's gonna be a 4 game lose streak, and maybe catapult my rank to the high 700s. So yeah, so I just played it, and turns out he was playing 4-color Omnath then, and I was playing a not so known deck, the mono blue tempo in historic, and I lost game one. I was like, oh, okay, I'm in trouble right now. I lost game one with with a favorable match up against the 4-color Omnath back then. So I had to make it up with game 2 and game 3. So well, I did my best, and I won game 2. Then game 3, he just stumbled on lands. Actually, I was able to counter everything that he played, and it came down to him, I think, being down to 7, and him gambling that I didn't have a counter spell, and he just played the Into the Wilds with 1 mana open. So I just countered it, and he conceded. So I would not take anything away from him. He's a great player, and with the name alone, actually, I was very intimidated. I was prepared to concede actually anytime, but I was fortunate enough to come out with the win in that matchup. So yeah, I think I saw this quote with one of our Filipino MTG friends here also. Play the game, see the world. So I played the game and I saw the world. I saw I think Argentina. Was he? Is he from Argentina? Well, a different nationality, and that's yeah. So yeah. Right now I'm holding on to a pretty steep rank. So let's hope that I don't have to play anymore, or if I have to play, then I'd be fortunate enough to retain my rank and get that invite. So yeah.
So in your case, it was play the game, see the world, conquer the world. That was what happened.
Well, I was up. I wouldn't say that it happens every time, but I was fortunate enough to have a good matchup. Right now, with the current meta right now, I would have to say that my chances are not that good right now because they unbanned in historic. Back then, I only had one deck. I didn't even have a standard deck. That's how low my card pool is. Actually, I've been told that this deck was unplayable by some people, but that's all the cards that I have. So I had to make do with what I have, right? So thankfully I was faced with some good matchups and some not so good. I mean, well we all know that Mono Blue sucks against hyper aggressive decks like Mono Red and RG decks. So I had my fair share of bad matchups. I mean, it's not always sunshine and rainbows. There are times that I was facing a 2 or 3 Triceratops, the protection from blue. So well, that game goodbye. So I had to bounce back, and yeah, thankfully I've been getting wins, and let's see. I mean, anything can happen, right? Uh, Maybe tomorrow I'd have to play and get knocked off the 1,200 limit. So yeah, so let's see.
All right, so there you have it. King Rayrand aiming to be the MC Mythic Championship champion. So watch out for that, guys. We are all rooting for this guy right here. Okay, so that wraps up.
Well,
Oh yeah, sure. Any other last words, sir?
So I'm actually waiting also for Ergo to join me in the top 1,200. So come on. I don't want to fight alone. So come on, Ergs.
We shall try. We will draw inspiration from King Rayrand right here, from his exploits, from his domination of the Salvatos of the world.
It was one game. I mean, if we had a rematch, I might even lose.
Yeah, well,
And I won't even be sorry about it. And I was beaten by one of the best, so whatever.
you won. That's that. That's all you can say. It was one match, and let's see if the rematch materializes in the finals. Okay, and yeah, anyway, that's it for our recap. Thank you guys for watching. Please follow our channel, King Rayrand. He might have a channel soon, so please follow him as well. Please follow our YouTube channel. Yeah, anyway, thank you, and
You know, maybe if we get a certain number of likes or comments requesting a channel to be made by me, or a collaboration of me and some of our friends for Magic, maybe we can make that happen. So support, please continue to support my friend's channel, Ergo Gamer, and yeah, tag me or send me a message if you for any deck deck test, play test sessions that you may want. I'm game.
All right. Yes, we will definitely be pestering you every day. You won't be able to sleep. We will
Oh,
just
no.
keep messaging you. Playtest, playtest.
Oh no.
So watch out for that, man. All right. So yeah. Anyway, thank you guys. Stay safe. Play video games. Have a good night, everyone.
Yeah, good night.